What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality Podcast. I'm your host. I'm Caitlin Kenneth Smith, and today I'm recording this. It's December 28th, meaning that we have only a few more days until the new year, which means that it's time for those fitness influencers who went away for the month of December to come out and start giving you all this bullshit controversy, trying to tell you this, trying to tell you that, trying to tell you the best way to approach your diet. And there's a lot of people who have a lot of great information to share. But what I wanted to do today is I wanted to give you the tools to arm you, to prepare you for what you should look out for by sharing with my experience, with my opinion, right? Just my opinion. The 5 things that I believe should die in the fitness and nutrition industry. And there's a lot of things that I could go about on this, but I wanted to stick with these 5 because I wanted to give you guys some just basic things that you need to look out for that could derail you or could just set you off on the wrong track. And I see this happen way too often, is that people see a pill or they see some sort of like a lotion or like a waistband or something, and they invest their hard-earned money into it because they want to become better. They want to lose weight. They want to lose body fat. They want to be more confident in their own skin. They have good intention, right? They know it's not like they're just throwing their money out into the world and saying, I'm just going to waste my fucking money on this. I know it doesn't work, but I'm going to waste my money on it anyway. That's not your intent. Right? I've done it before. I've bought stupid shit back when I first got into the fitness industry that I had no idea wouldn't work because I saw somebody on social media or on the news or on a commercial promoting it and telling me that it worked and showing me all of these different transformation photos. And I mean, we can just think back to like when I was younger, like the Hydroxycut commercials where they'd have people who would lose like crazy amounts of weights in this before and after photo, and then at the bottom they would say results may vary, results may not be exactly what they say they are. But unfortunately, nobody takes the time to really look into those things, so they're in a vulnerable state and they are so desperate to change, and they're so desperate to accomplish this goal, to feel more confident in their skin, to be healthier, to lose body fat, and they say, well, this must be the thing that's going to get me there because nothing has worked in the past. And in the reality, the reason why things haven't worked in the past is because you just haven't worked in the past or worked long enough or done the right things. So bottom line is, we talk a lot about on this podcast about the foundations that provide you with the structure you need to build a solid foundation for your health, for your fitness, to achieve and earn the results that you want. Calories and protein being the biggest thing, protein being the biggest thing, right? But you, of course, need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose body fat. But if you're not being disciplined with hitting your protein goal on a consistent basis, then you're not going to lose fat and you're going to get stuck. So calories and protein, resistance training, movement, water, sleep, stress management, those are the best forms of medicine, and those are the things that fucking work. But here's the problem. Those things, those habits and behaviors, they don't make people money, right? They don't make companies money. Companies who are selling a specific product, they can't patent habits and behaviors. Just like you never see a commercial about fucking red meat and how incredible it is and how red meat is truly the only superfood, because they can't patent a fucking cow, but they can patent this brand of cereal that has a little bit of protein sprinkled in there. They can patent this yogurt, right? They can patent those kinds of products that come in a box, but they can't patent the real shit that delivers results. So today I wanted to talk about, like I said, the 5 things that I believe should die in the fitness and nutrition industry. And I've been in the fitness and nutrition industry for over a decade now. I don't know everything, but I've seen a lot of shit. And I want to tell you also that I've believed a lot of shit. And there's a lot of shit that I've believed in the past that I don't believe anymore because research has shown me otherwise, or experience has shown me otherwise. I'm willing to be wrong, and I'm okay with being wrong, because when I'm wrong, then I can learn the better way to do it, or it's an area of opportunity for me to improve my clients' results and my own results. So let's break this down. Number 1 is teaching unsustainable things or making people believe that dieting and nutrition and fitness needs to be a miserable experience that is only temporary. And I think that it's hard to really pinpoint if the person who's delivering this sort of information has an agenda or if they're just, frankly, stupid. Not stupid. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but just misinformed. And I'm talking about the person, not the person who's taking in this information. I'm talking about the person who's putting out this information. Because people who believe certain things, it's like they just don't know anything else, right? Like things that I believe because of what I do for a living are super simple, like, hey, hit your protein goal every day. Some people see somebody preaching about how, no, you just need to focus on eating as little as possible and eating 1,200 calories or eating 1,000 calories and just doing a ton of cardio. That makes sense to a lot of people because, in order for me to lose weight, I need to eat less and move more. But if you're just eating less and moving more, your body is an adaptation machine. And eventually it's going to adapt to that. And then you're going to be stuck. And what are you going to do? Eat 800 calories and do 3 hours of cardio? No, it's not sustainable. You're going to be fucking miserable. Nutrition and fitness should improve your life. Period. End of story. If you feel so restricted and you feel so miserable on the nutritional approach that you chose, then it's not the right approach for you. You don't need to cut out carbohydrates. You don't need to cut out fats. You don't need to just do keto or a water fast or a juice cleanse. In fact, and I've said it on here before, your diet doesn't need to have a name, and I don't think it should. Because when people start labeling it as, I'm doing carnivore, I'm doing keto, I'm doing intermittent fasting, I'm doing vegan, don't do that. It allows you to almost have to die on the hill. And if anything in your life gets in the way of you following that specific protocol, then most people just say, well, fuck it, I guess I'm just going to quit. This ain't for me. And then they start over and they find the next fad diet, but they only stick to that fad diet for 2, 3, 4 weeks. There are some people who I've seen do it for years, but then they do it for years, and if you quit and you go back to where you were, then it didn't work for you. So if you come to me and you tell me, hey, I want to do keto because I've done keto in the past and it worked for me. Well, if it worked for you, then you wouldn't be sitting in front of me telling me that you needed to lose the 20 pounds that you gained back after you stopped doing keto, because it wasn't a sustainable approach for you. And there are so many people out there who are preaching this. Do this. You have to do this. Keto's the only way. Carnivore's the only way. Vegan's the only way. Intermittent fasting's the only way, because it was something that they found was the thing that they could stick to. They could stick to it. But what you see on social media isn't necessarily always what happens. Just because they say they do that, do they actually? Have they always done that? Some people are very honest and truthful, but it all comes down to credibility. Like, do they have experience, results, and credibility really to back that up? And I think it's important for you to not just fall for something that feels so restrictive. So if you feel restricted doing something, obviously it might feel a little bit different at first. Like, you might not be able to eat all of the foods in the quantities that you once ate them all of the time. But I'm a true believer that you can truly eat whatever you want. But what's going to change is the amount of that food that you have and the frequency that you have it. So you can have a cookie, but you can't have a fucking pack of Oreos, and you can't do it every fucking day. You can have a cookie like once a week, fitting into your diet. Make sure you hit your macros, focus on protein first, and really just focus on living a life that allows you to hit the basics that I spoke about in the beginning: protein, water, movement, resistance training, sleep, stress management, and allow you to feel the least restrictive. And that's going to be different for every single person. Just because keto worked for your friend Karen doesn't mean it works for you. And you have to be okay with that. And when you see something on social media that sounds too good to be true, it usually is. The reality is that nobody wants to buy the hard work. Everybody says that they want the results. They want to lose body fat. They want to be shredded. They want the six-pack. But they don't want to put in the work that it takes to get those things. And when you see somebody on social media promoting that you can take this pill or take this supplement or do this 6-week challenge or do this 2-week challenge or 30-day ab fucking thing, that you're going to get what you want. It sounds amazing, and you want to do it because you want to make it as easy as possible. But I challenge you, as always, to seek the uncomfortable thing. I'll always be honest with my clients. This is going to be a journey. But my coach, Eric, says it very, very well. He's a coach for Hidden Summit too. He's my coach. He says, we do sell the quick fix because you've been trying to lose the weight for 10 years. And I'm going to promise you that if you give me 1 year of solid effort and you go all in for this 1 year, you're going to accomplish your goals. And that's only 10% of the time that you spent suffering. So we do sell the quick fix, but it's not what you want. It's hard work. Number 2 is one that not a lot of people know about. And it's one that I see a lot actually on social media and a lot with like bigger accounts who get a lot of following. And it has to do with the fact that people are literally lying, or I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, just have a misrepresentation or a misunderstanding of research. A lot of people try to play doctor on the internet when they're not a fucking doctor. A lot of people try to preach certain nutritional approaches or try to tell you that this workout program works, and then you go and you look and they fucking got an online certification. They never worked with a client in person. They don't have the experience. Now, can you gain a lot of knowledge from those certifications? Absolutely. However, I've taken so many certifications that I know that I've learned way more just throughout the experience of working with actual human beings, because there's psychology, habits, and behaviors that go into people. We're not robots. So if I tell you that, hey, you just need to hit that protein goal every single day, and when you hit that protein goal, you'll see the results that you want. Great. Sounds great on paper, but why isn't that person hitting their protein goal? We have to work around habits and behaviors to allow them to build that habit. And then once they start hitting it consistently, that's when they get the results. But there's a lot of misrepresentation of research on social media reels because it's very short form content. They only get 30 seconds to 90 seconds to be able to portray this information to you. And they're trying to look for a way to grab your attention, keep your attention, and then keep you coming back for more. That's the purpose of social media. It's marketing, it's business, it's how it is. But you as a consumer, you as somebody who's consuming that information, you need to have the awareness to know, okay, he says this, she says this. Well, what's actual? What's true? Because I've literally scrolled through social media and seen one person say one thing, and then the next thing I scroll to, another person is saying the exact opposite, but they're both citing research. So it's like, well, they both have research. They both have big followings. They both sound like they know what they talk about. So what's actually true? And that actually puts a little bit of responsibility onto you as the consumer, is to be aware that, hey, that's kind of alarming. Let me go and look into that to see if it has any sort of weight to it. And sometimes, even with big people who have a lot of following, even with people who are doctors, because they put MD next to their name, they misrepresent data a lot. But here's the thing. Most people will see a headline, or they'll see that the person cites the study and cites what happened in the study, and they don't go and look at the study. They don't take time to go look at the study or read the article. They just look at the headline, or they look at what that person said and said, oh shit, that's crazy. But there have actually been times where I have seen people say something about a study, and then I go look at the study, and it's either a shit study, or they actually completely lie about the results. It's literally the exact opposite of what they say, or they word it so special. So, again, this gives you responsibility as a consumer. If you see something on Instagram, if you see something on social media that's a little bit alarming to you, or that sends red flags your way, and you're like, ooh, I don't like that. Is it really oatmeal that's poison? Look into it, actually see the research behind it, look a little bit deeper into it, search other credible sources, have people that you look to who do their own research, who have their own experience with themselves and with other people, but also who are willing to be wrong. Because a big thing with those people who put this misrepresentation of data, one thing that you find across the board is that they're not willing to be wrong, and they'll always die on a hill for the thing that they're preaching, even if the thing that they're preaching has been proven wrong through research. So one person that I like to follow who's really good for this is Dr. Lane Norton and Dr. Gabrielle Lyons. They are very, very good, credible sources. They're willing to be wrong, but they also really stand strong to what is in the research and what proper research actually looks like. Most people honestly just don't know how to break down research studies, but Lane Norton actually puts out a really good resource. It's an ebook on his website for free that teaches you and breaks down how to actually read a research study. Sometimes, you might open the research study and be like, oh, well, I don't know how to even read this. And I bet the people who are posting on social media about those research studies probably think the same thing. But they kind of fumble through it and they think, well, if I just take like these big words that'll get people's attention, then I'll be able to get more attention to my page, more money for them. It's a crazy world out there. But again, there are a lot of credible sources too, but I just want you to be aware, like if you see something on social media, check the sources. Check the sources. Don't believe everything that you see. Number 3, overcomplicating workouts or getting away from the basics. I used to work in a gym for a very long time, and a lot of the thing that I would see are trainers taking those Bosu balls, which are kind of like those stability balls, like those big yoga balls that were like cut in half, and you see people doing like squats and bicep curls and shit on them. Those are probably the dumbest thing that anybody could ever use. The only time I would probably ever use that would be for somebody who's trying to regain balance and core stability. However, I could just have them stand on one foot, holding a weight over their head, and it would give them the same benefit without causing so much risk for injury. Workouts don't have to be overcomplicated. In fact, the workouts that deliver the best results are usually the most boring workouts. Workouts focused around compound movements like back squats, deadlifts, overhead pressing, bench press, front squats, things like that. And then with accessory works that help to really provide stimulus to those major muscle groups. Keeping it in a rep range between 3 to 5 sets, between 8 to 15 reps, depending on your goal. And really, people overcomplicate it. They really do. They think that they need to do a plank while doing a bicep curl upside down in order to get the best stimulus to be able to promote and confuse your muscles. Muscle confusion is not a fucking thing. And I used to see Beachbody talk about this all the time. It's like, confuse your muscles with P90X. And I'm like, I believed it for a really long time because when I was younger and I didn't know any better, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. You need to constantly change things up in order to confuse your muscles because then it kind of allows them to continue to change. That's not true. You need to allow your muscles time to actually adapt to get stronger in order for you to actually progress. So don't overcomplicate your training. If your training is something that's boring and monotonous, it's usually the right type of training. Now you need to be smart and have progressive overload, which means that you're some way, shape, or form improving each week. And that could be adding more load, increasing reps, or even reducing reps and adding more load, right? Just changing reps, changing sets. Tempo is another great thing that you can use. Reducing rest periods, increasing rest periods, increasing intensity, decreasing intensity, all these different things that you can manipulate. Don't overthink it, right? You don't have to do back squats upside down on a Bosu ball in order to get the best stimulus. You just need to train hard with effort and intent. That's where most people miss, is that they go into the gym and they're on their phone or they're distracted and they're not giving their true effort to their training, and that's why they're not earning results. So your training should really be basic. The basic strength foundational movements are the basic strength foundational movements for a reason. No need to deviate from that. Just have a program, because if you don't follow a program, then you're just kind of guessing. The amount of times when I worked at a gym that I would ask somebody who was checking in, hey, what are you doing for your workout today? And they would say, I don't know. I'm just going to kind of feel what feels good. What the fuck? How are you going to get results if you don't have something to follow? It's kind of like if you were trying to travel across the country, you started in New York, you wanted to go to California, and you wanted to go to a specific place in California. But you said, you know what? I'm not even going to use the GPS. Fuck a map. I'm just going to get there. You might get there eventually, but it's going to be really complicated and way, way longer than it needs to be. So do yourself a favor and train with effort and intent, focus on compound lifting, strength training, and follow a program. And if you need a program, I have 2 resources for you. Hidden Summit, we do S5 training. So we have 5 different tracks that we include with that: strength, sculpt, stretch, sweat, and skill. And then also the first format that I coach my clients through, it's $12.99 a month. You literally get access to a ton of different workout programs that you can choose from. It's about having a program that comes from a credible source, and that is not just random bullshit. Because the amount of programs that I've received or seen on the internet, some of them are very scary. So again, do your research, find somebody who's credible. You can always ask me. I program for a lot of different people, but it's always important to have a program and to not overcomplicate your training. Number 4, and this one kind of goes off of everything: fear-mongering, overcomplicating things, creating cults behind different nutritional approaches or different training styles. Fear-mongering sells. It does, because it gets your attention. You know that. If you see something on social media that gets you to go, oh shit, you're more likely to share it than if you saw something that's like, oh, that's informative. Fear-mongering sells, and people know that. But the problem with fear-mongering is that it fucks you up, because you watch it and you're like, oh crap, I can't eat oatmeal. Uh-oh, I can't eat vegetables. What the hell do I eat? And then you just say, fuck it, I'll just eat whatever the hell I want, because it's not even worth it at this point. And that's not okay, because there are fitness and nutrition and health influencers out there who are actually causing people to not take the first step to take their fitness journey seriously, because they're so overwhelmed with all of the bullshit information that they're putting out there. So many influencers, I hate that word, influencers on Instagram are literally promoting one thing and then having an argument in the comments about shit that doesn't fucking matter. Like, who cares about if fasted cardio adds 0.0001% improvement in your fat loss? Let's just get somebody to actually move. How about that? How about we make it how about we add as little complication to the process as possible so that people are more willing to take action? But again, it's not fear-mongering, so it's not going to get the views that you want. So again, if something scares you on Instagram, be aware that they're just trying to push something. And that, yes, fear-mongering, again, it's marketing. It's part of it. Like, if I don't fear-monger as well in certain aspects, like if I don't put attention-grabbing titles on my posts or on my podcast, then people might not click on them and they might not get the information that they want, which is why I love long-form podcasts like this, because it gives me the opportunity to actually expand on a topic. But most people just fear-monger, and they're okay with it because it gives them views. And they like when people hit that like button. Makes them feel good. And the final one, number 5, is supplement obsession, or supplement overfixation, I like to think. Now, I'm going to put it out there. I have supplements up there. Look, there's a protein powder. There's a collagen. Clearly, I'm part of First Form, because First Form is not just a supplement company. It's an incredible company filled with so many incredible people who are literally trying to change the world and help real people get real long-term results. And they don't just do this by selling products. They do this with their app. They have tons of advisors, myself being one of them, in the app who are helping people with their nutrition, with their training, who are helping them with the foundations and then filling gaps with those supplements, with those high-quality supplements, which is important. Because there's a lot of bullshit out there. It's a lot better than it used to be. I will give it that. But there's an obsession with supplements. I remember whenever my brother would get into working out, he would say, okay, what supplements do I need to buy? And I would say, whoa. Before we talk about supplements, let's talk about your nutrition. Let's talk about your training. Let's get that done. And then we can talk about supplements. But supplements are kind of cool. So people are like, ooh, I want to buy those cool things. It's like when somebody starts doing something and they're like, I need to buy all of the gear first, and then I'll actually do that thing, and then they never do that thing. My brother does this a lot. Sorry, Kevin, for shouting you out. But he did it with supplements, but he also did it when he was younger. He wanted to buy a motorcycle eventually. He was too young to drive at the time. So he bought a motorcycle helmet. and said, I'll use this when I buy a motorcycle. And then when we took driver's ed, he realized that he didn't want a motorcycle because it was kind of scary and dangerous. It's not, but that's what he thought. I'm sure his opinion is probably different now. But then it was like, okay, well, that motorcycle helmet was sold on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or something. But it's funny how a lot of people do that. And a lot of people do this with supplements. Now, I take supplements every single day. And my clients, I recommend supplements to them depending on what their goals are, depending on what gaps they have in their nutrition. And there are some supplements, and I'll do another episode on this, that I recommend to the majority of people because through my experience, it's what gap that person usually has, which has to do with micronutrients, gut health, and protein, and omega-3s. People don't eat enough fatty fish, myself included, which is why I take a fish oil, because I'm not going to stink up the house with fish, and frankly, I don't like it. So I fill that gap. Now, what most people do is that they don't even pay attention to their nutrition, and they just start taking a ton of supplements, expecting that to produce the results. Supplements are like sprinkles on top of a cake. It's not even the frosting, right? The cake is strength training, protein intake, consistency. The frosting is like additional movement and things like that. And then the sprinkles are the supplements. So before you start investing all of your money into supplements, do a little bit of investment into your nutrition, into your training. I would rather you invest in the first format and actually get a proper nutrition program and get a proper training program before you start sprinkling in the supplements. But again, supplements can make things very, very, very simple. They can make things more simple, right? If you're somebody who struggles to hit their protein goal because you're always on the go, then yes, a protein shake could be a good option. If you're somebody who doesn't eat enough fruits and vegetables just because you don't like them, yes, a micronutrient pack could be a good option for you. And I would recommend those things. But before I would recommend those things, I would recommend you invest time into getting a proper nutrition and training program set up. All right, guys, that's all that we have. The 5 things that I think, I don't know why I keep doing 10, the 5 things that I think should die in the fitness and health space. And if you guys need anything at all, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, always down below. But go out and do one thing that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be.